And if I pick up 2-3 wickets, I think I've done my job, because leg spin will always be a wicket taking option rather than someone who's going to stop the runs. I was not really serious about any of that, because as a kid you always dream of playing for India, dream of playing at IPL, and it's very, very tough to give up on something that you've been dreaming from since the beginning.
Hi, good day to everybody. My name is Dev Tyagi and I welcome you to a very special edition here on What's Up Life World. Now, when we talk about world cricket, chances are more often than not we end up talking about the mega stars and the big achievers, the colossal names such as Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Dale Steyn, AB de Villiers, Brian Lara, Sachin, and so on and so forth. But it's a very rare occasion to actually step back from live cricketing action and to focus and foray on the journey of a young cricketer, a cricketer whose best days lie ahead in the future. Speaking of which, today I'm delighted to be joined by none other than Shashwat Kohli, an Indian cricketer who has one leg already based in the US. Now, to explore what his journey has been, what his aspirations are, and where he is at this point in time in his cricketing world, it is absolutely brilliant to get some insights on live recording with Shashwat, the man himself. Shashwat, welcome to What's Up Life here, and I'm ecstatic to talk to you today.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast, and I'm equally excited about talking about my journey.
Right. So, I have several questions for you. But the first question that I have for you today is that how did cricket happen to you and why did you choose cricket at a time where even sports like kabaddi, basketball, and soccer are perhaps at an all time high?
I think cricket came to me like pretty normally to how it comes to any kid, in India, just playing with friends in a park, and you start with tennis ball, then you figure out the techniques on your own, and then you slowly have the courage to switch to a hard ball, and that's how you kind of learn that you got a hack of it and you want to explore more of it, you want to learn. And mine was a slightly different story in a way that we were a group of 5-6 friends, and we met a young aspiring coach, and we started an academy together. So it was like we encouraged him, okay, that coach, you start an academy and we'll be your first student. So it was something like that. Yeah.
So, how young were you then when this chanced encounter with this
I think
coach happened?
I was 12 years old at that time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's where my professional coaching started.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, you're already an active cricketer and at the same time you've already taken a plunge in proper coaching. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, so I have played age group cricket here in India. I've played first class cricket, and now I am playing professional cricket in the US, the minor league. Yes, so I've had almost, you can say, 13 years of being coached by professional coaches, you can say.
So, major part of our discussion today with Shashwat Kohli is going to be about minor league cricket. But before I jump into that section, I want to understand to what extent have you played cricket as a professional here in India when you talk about domestic cricket or other formats?
So my first break was that I was in the probables for under 16 team of Uttar Pradesh. Then I broke into the under 19 side of Delhi. As I was lucky enough that because I was born in Delhi and I live in Noida, I could represent both the states. Then it was tough for me to break into the senior side in Delhi, but fortunately I got an opportunity to play as a professional guest player in the Northeast. So I represented my first class career for Arunachal, and after that the journey for the US unfolded slowly.
So this is already a telling and an emphatic journey in itself because a life which began here in Noida and Uttar Pradesh and actually played cricket in Arunachal Pradesh finally ended up in minor league cricket's very reputed and very well talked about Seattle Thunderbolts. So it's been a pretty interesting journey and it's a journey which has taken you to several thousands of miles across India. So ये जो एक transformation था, can you elaborate on that? Because I think this has been a life-changing journey in itself for you.
Definitely a life changing journey. So it was something like post COVID, I was trying to break into the state teams and I was unable to do so. You know that there's so much competitiveness in state cricket. There's so many amazing players and it's very hard to replace one of them. But fortunately, I just thought, maybe I should just take a holiday and come back because I was mentally frustrated. And it was post COVID, 2-3 years. I was sitting at home and just
Trying your
practicing,
luck here and
trying
there.
my luck here and there. And then I was like, I need a break. So
Right.
luckily, I had a US tourist visa. So I just went to the US to visit my dad's friends and all. When I reached there, I had heard something about the US cricket picking up and players going there, moving there from India, but I was not really serious about any of that because as a kid you always dream of playing for India, dream of playing at IPL, and it's very very tough to give up on something that you've been dreaming from since the beginning. But when I went to the US, my dad's friend's friend was involved with the minor league team, and they were looking for players.
Yeah.
So they kind of asked me, "Why don't you send me your resume?"
So it was purely accidental.
So it was purely accidental.
Okay.
Why don't you just send me your resume? Let me just go through it, and
Right.
maybe if you like it. So that's how it began. He passed around my resume, and then I got an offer from Seattle Thunderbolts. So initially I was like, no, maybe no, because it was like I would have to play the minor league and then go back home. And so BCCI has a rule that if you have played BCCI cricket,
Right.
you are not allowed to play any T20 franchise cricket outside of India.
Right.
That is the reason you don't see any BCCI players, really Indian players, going outside to play T20 franchise cricket.
Players contracted by the BCCI plying their trade in other franchise forms of cricket. Yeah.
So that was a big call that just for a tournament I can't just risk all of it, because if I play the minor league here and then
Right.
I have to go back to India, I'll be nowhere now.
Yeah.
Nor I'm in US now,
Yeah.
nor am I eligible in India. But then he offered me that we'll get your visa done and then you can plan your future ahead in US, and that kind of got me thinking. And then I discussed my options with my parents and I was like, okay, like ultimately you love cricket and you want to keep doing it for as long as you can. And I was seeing that to be tough in India because
Right.
I wasn't able to break through and all. So I kind of took the opportunity that was coming towards me, and I am glad I took it because the way that I can see cricket growing in the US, I feel it's going to become even bigger.
Well, cricket is certainly growing in the US, and ask me how. So recently, the top corporate ladder of Google, amongst other corporate biggies, they took a team in the 100 in England.
Yeah, I heard that the Google CEO, the Microsoft CEO, and the
Yeah.
Times Internet CEO kind of combined and took a 49% stake in the London Spirit team. So
Right.
definitely, like, even me being in the US, I've seen a lot of private investments happening in the US because people there do have the money, and Indians love cricket. Whether they live in India or they live in US or they live in any other country, I think cricket is something they're always attached to.
Right.
So definitely, you will see a lot of more this happening, like a lot more at the global scale.
And even big Bollywood stars like Shah Rukh Khan have forayed into cricket team ownership. And how? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so it actually, when the major league was about to come up in the US, I think KKR was one of the first teams to have
Form a
backed
franchise.
to have backed the major league and said that we will get
Right.
a team in this. So I think that itself was such a big boost to this league.
So one of the most interesting facets of the many about this handsome, good-looking cricketer who's as young as he's capable is that he happens to be a top-order batter who bowls leg spin. तो ये एक बड़ा rare combination है. Like if I see around me and if I try and jot down the names of some amazing international stalwarts, there are very few who actually do that, or maybe not many at all. So how difficult is it to ply your trade as an all-rounder, a top-order batter who actually bowls leg spin?
So this has a different story on its own because till the under 19 levels I was primarily a bowler. So I played for Delhi primarily as a bowler, as a pure leg break, and I didn't used to bat much at that time. But I don't know, when I turned, I think around the age of 2021, some switch kind of flicked in my mind, and I was like, let me try batting, because maybe I don't know what happened. I just kind of switched to batting. I started enjoying it more, and so now, and then putting in 3-4 years of hard work into that, I think that kind of, because of that, I now have dual abilities, you can say, which is in itself a very rare combination, and especially T20 cricket happening around the world, I think it works in my favor.
Right, right. So, do you feel that being a leg spinner in T20 cricket also exposes you to the dangers of the free hitting and the big hitting that, we've seen a lot of calypso cricketers, the West Indian cricketers sort of adapt to, and with much glee. I mean, leg spin is a refined art. It's a very exquisite art. Just yesterday we saw Adil Rashid, being tanked for runs, but again picking up the big wicket of a person with whom you share your amazing surname. So, do you feel that leg spin bowl karna is easy, or is it very difficult in T20 leagues? It exposes your craft to big hits and those smashing shots.
Uh, it definitely is tough. You need a lot of courage, but at the same time, you know that the batter is going to hit. So that kind of allows you to pick up wickets. As a leg break, I think as a leg break, you're always told, don't worry about the runs. You are here to pick wickets. So that thing always helps. That even if I go for runs,
Right,
if I pick up 2-3 wickets, I think I've done my job, because
right,
leg spin will always be a wicket taking option rather than someone who's going to stop the runs.
right. No, absolutely fantastic. Now, just want to pick your brains on who, according to you as an observant of the game, as an observer of the game, rather, who, according to you, have been some of the best players of spin when it comes to world cricket,
Uh,
regardless of format?
Currently, or like from the
Currently, also,
past?
and from the past eras, also.
From the past, I so my favorite batter has always been AB de Villiers. So I consider him to be like, for me, my god. And but in red ball cricket, I used to admire Michael Clark a lot. Michael Clark used to step out beautifully. So Michael Clark was an amazing player of spin. In today's day, I think there are a lot of players who play spin well. To point out, I think Kevin Peterson just came to mind. Kevin Peterson was a
Yeah,
beautiful player of spin. So there
fantastic.
are like many good players of spin. In today's world, to kind of say that somebody plays spin very well would be very tough, because being such a short format, I think you have to be a good player of everything, rather
Right,
than in the longer format you can be a good player of different phases.
right.
But I think in T20 you need to be good enough to play in all the phases.
Right. So, Shashwat, you have a Virat future ahead of you, just like Kohli himself. But in your friend circle, in your family circle, your friends and relatives and extended family, are there ever these discussions, these very pompous, ambitious discussions, like you have to be like Virat, and of course, bright future stares at you here and also in the US. But do you sometimes get bogged down by pressure? थोड़ा challenge लगता है कि यार I have to live up to the Kohli name. It's a
No,
huge name in itself.
honestly, no, not really,
Okay.
because maybe because it was it Virat Kohli became a very big household name, I guess, in the last 6-7 years, you can say. Before that, you could say that he was a legend in the making,
Yeah.
but still not a legend, right? So at that time, I had already was 20, right? So it was not that I was a young kid who parents and relatives are like, oh, he'll be the
So they
next
don't
Kohli,
compare
and
you to.
no,
They
not
don't say
really.
because you have Kohli in your name. They don't
No,
put you to task.
no, no, no. Like people do ask me, are you related? That's the first question they asked. Are you related? And I say sadly no. But yeah, they don't compare me, and I think that's good. But yeah, the pressure part will always be there. I think that's you can't fight that. That you have to accept that.
Hi, so Shashwat, I want to understand about minor cricket league in a bit more detail and some elaboration. So, what is the league exactly about? I mean, I have a basic grassroots idea that it's one of the most elite forms of T20 competition in US. Besides adjacent to the major cricket league, which is the main thing in T20 franchise cricket competition. आप थोड़ा और बता सकते हैं माइनर लीग के बारे में to those of us who might not be really familiar.
So, minor league is kind of the gateway to major league. So you can maybe compare it a little bit to the Syed Mushtaq Ali here in
Right.
India. So it has around 27, 28 teams, each team kind of representing a different city. And so the format is such that the country the it's divided into different conferences, like the Western Conference, the Central Conference, Southern and Eastern, and teams compete in their own conferences, and then they qualify for the playoffs, and then they meet at a common location for the playoffs. So that's how you kind of find the champions of the minor league.
It might not be incorrect to say that it is the most important cricket league since 2021 in the US, right? It started in
Definitely, it is
2021.
the after the major league. I think it is the most important league
The
in the US.
post-COVID reality of cricket in the US
Yeah,
was minor cricket league, right?
definitely. Yeah, minor cricket league. When after 2 seasons of minor cricket league, major league came into existence.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And you are contracted with the Seattle Thunderbolts.
Yes.
So, कैसी है ये franchise? Who are some of the players? How was the overall experience? And when did you play there? And so far, how many games have you played with them?
So I started playing them for them in the 2023 season.
Okay.
And बहुत अच्छी franchise है. Like, I love the owners. I mean, they have been so nice, and they have been very accommodating, because even though I play for them, but I live in Dallas, and they have been totally fine with that. And any problems that I have anytime, I can reach out to them. So it's been amazing playing with them. And I've had the opportunity to play with various players around the world in the franchise, because minor league has some rules that you can get one or two players from the different country too. So we have a slot for that. So बहुत सारे Canadian players के साथ खेला हूँ मैं. So now
Okay.
I know a lot of Canadian players. I even know a player from New Zealand. So
Okay.
that's interesting. You get to meet people all over the world, and then you kind of connect on how everyone has their own routines, how everyone practices, what are their challenges. So that's nice. That's something actually that you don't really find in India. In India, you kind of get mainstream knowledge, but once I think when I जब मैं यूएस गया हूँ, आई हैव लर्नड अ लॉट अबाउट हाउ डिफरेंट people think differently, and what's their processes, what's important for them. So it's you can say that everyone has their own way. There's no one way.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of Indians and Indian cricketers of Indian heritage, rather, your interactions with Unmukh Chand, you've met him quite a few
Yeah.
times. You know him about quite well. So how has been this journey knowing him?
I know Unmukh since I've been in Delhi, because he lives very close to my house also, and I've practiced with him a lot. Like I told you, I was a bowler in the beginning, so
Right.
I've bowled a lot to him. And he lives in Dallas too, in the US.
Okay.
So sometimes we keep meeting at practices and all, and in tournaments and all. And he's a very nice guy.
He's a renowned name in that circuit of franchise cricket in the US.
Definitely, I think he's the most, you can say, the most widely known cricketer in India who's moved to the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, he'll always be that brilliant, hard hitting, under 19 World Cup
Yeah.
winning captain, And speaking of Indians living in Dallas, so how's Dallas as a place? I mean, for me personally, Texas is the city of Owen Wilson, and the actor behind the monosyllabic expression "wow." Every statement of his is, in conjunction with this word "wow." But how's Dallas as a city? Is it easy going vibe about the place?
Dallas is a very simple place, and definitely, like, I've heard that everything is big in Texas, and it's true. Everything is really big in Texas because they have so much of land. Like, you can
Yeah.
see 6 12 lane highways.
Do you put on your cowboy boots sometimes and the Clint Eastwood like hat and get out?
Not really. I don't think that would suit me. I'm too small for the cowboy guys. But yeah, Texas. I really like Texas because of the ease of living, because there's so much space and everything's. There's hardly any travel time for anything. Even though the place is big, but you cover distances very fast.
Okay.
So, and for me, it's been very convenient to live
Okay.
there. Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You live a quarter of a year, close to a quarter of a year here in India, and then the remaining 8 9 months, which is the active season, you're there in the US. So how do you like? What is your schedule like when you are here as compared to when you're there in the US?
So my schedule in US is like 2 3 months during the minor league. I go to Seattle because Once the minor league
It's a long
starts,
tournament.
yeah, yeah, it's easily a 2 month long tournament
So
because
sixth of the year, basically.
yeah, because you see the games for the minor league happen on weekends. They happen on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
Because everybody right now who's involved with cricket obviously has something else also going on the side that they need to pay attention to. Like maybe, so for example, my team owners do have a job also. So they are busy with that on weekdays, but they have their passion of owning a cricket team running on the side. So
Right.
that's something they give time to on weekends. So yeah, so 2 3 months I spend in Seattle, and the remaining summer I spend in Dallas. And once it's off season, say from January to January and February, I usually try to spend that time in India to kind of train for my
Okay.
upcoming season. Yeah.
Okay. So, what does the imminent future hold for you? Like the short term window, like right now, immediately, what do you see happening to you in your life and journey as a cricketer? Are you gonna get? You're trying to get more assignments in more leagues. You're trying to diversify your career graph, or you want to restrict yourself to the US playing these leagues?
So right now, if you say a short-term goal, definitely to kind of do well in the minor league so that I get an opportunity to play in the major league. That's one short-term goal definitely that I have. And obviously, there's a lot of private tournaments happening in the US,
Okay.
so get the opportunity to play for that. But if one specific goal is asked, then I would say I want to break into the major league.
What is so fascinating about Major League Cricket to those of us who might not really be aware of it?
So major league is again
The IPL of US?
yeah, you can say it's the IPL of the US. So it is the premier level tournament that's happening in the US. And if agar aap major league khel jate ho, then we know that IPL team owners are also there, and everything, other team owners are also there. So once आप ऐसी लीग में break in करते हो, then it opens the windows for you to play cricket globally, right?
Wow.
You can play maybe in the, say, the Canada GT20 or somewhere else. We know that we just discussed that USA tech entrepreneurs are investing in
Right.
England, right?
Yeah, in a
So
big way.
yeah, so you might get a chance to play in the 100. So all these doors open once you, I guess, enter the major league. Yeah.
फैंटास्टिक सो ये T20 फ्रेंचाइज लेवल पे आपको कौन से क्रिकेटर्स का क्राफ्ट फैसिनेटिंग लगता है? हु आर द क्रिकेटर्स? आई एम नॉट सेइंग हु यू वांट टू प्ले लाइक, बट हु सक्सेस स्टोरी रेजोनेट्स विद यू कि यार आई वुड वांट टू यू नो be
Uh,
there sometime.
if someone like you want me to say someone like US specific or globally?
Anybody in franchise cricket.
I think franchise cricket. I mean, people like Rashid Khan, Andrew Russell, they amaze me because they get to play all the major leagues around the world, right? And I mean, ultimately, if you get to play that, that's, you can play cricket all year round. And for me, if I definitely feel for them that, bhai, they were a lot tired, mentally exhausted, taking flights. But ultimately, that's what I'm living for. If I get to do that, that would
An
my
ideal
dream.
life.
My dream would come true.
Okay. Speaking of Rashid Khan, who recently actually became the highest T20 wicket taker in the world, and in doing so, he overcame the record tally held previously by Dwayne Bravo of the West Indies. Now, it can't be that we talk of franchise cricket and T20, not talk of West Indies. How do you think West Indies' contribution has been over these years, specifically for these T20 leagues? We talk of the Gales and the Pollards and so on and so forth. What impression do you have of the West Indies cricket team and franchise cricket?
Oh, I mean, West Indians, I think nobody would disagree with me that saying that they're genetically gifted people, and they have lots of strength, and they're very happy-go-lucky guys, right? I think they are made for white ball cricket. And I've seen a lot of Caribbean people in US tournaments smashing the ball out of the ground. So definitely, I think they're always going to be big stars in T20 cricket.
I would love Craig Brathwaite, the test team captain, to hear this line. It's a very telling one at that. So, Shashwat, talking to you, something strikes my mind. There must be tens and dozens of people who walk up to you and say that, Bhaiya, how did you land in the US and that too playing cricket? So are you approached by such questions every now and then?
every other day, like
Right.
abhi main India आया हूँ, I think whoever meets me has this question, because obviously they're curious about, you know, playing professional cricket and all. And I tell everybody pretty much the same answer. So I tell them ki I was lucky enough ki when I was in US, so I was lucky enough that a team, a franchise kind of offered me a visa. So that visa is called an O1 visa.
Okay.
So that visa is like a three year long visa, and it's for, so O1 visa is specifically for athletes, media people, arts, you know, anybody in the creative side, you can say, who can prove that they are in the extraordinary ability, they have done well in
Right.
their country,
Right.
they can apply for that visa. And it's an employer based visa, so it's not something that I want to apply it today to maine aaj kar diya. It's something that some employer wants me there, he will apply it. So it's similar to the H1B, you can say.
So how complicated or less complicated is it?
It is very complicated. Almost it requires a lot of documentation, and मुझे almost 3 महीने लगे थे to get that documentation right. And but yeah, it's a tough visa to get, but if you get it, I think it's a pretty good visa to be sorted. And yeah, I think that's the way if you अगर किसी को जाना है US, they need to be first, they need to be approached by a team there who can file the visa for them, and then the second part comes where you need to prove that you are someone who is valuable enough that you should be given the visa to come there. And how will you contribute to the US cricket?
So one particular question I was thinking of asking you in this interaction of ours is, what is your daily life like in the US when you are playing cricket and when you are not playing cricket?
So another question जो मुझे बहुत लोग पूछते हैं, and I really want people to understand this, because sometimes जब मैं बोलता हूँ कि मैं US में क्रिकेट खेलता हूँ, everybody sees, oh, US cricket, you know, they always see the glamour part of it, but it's not like that. First of all, if you are not someone who has really made their name in world cricket, and who is, you can say, someone like me who's still aspiring to be one, आपको वहाँ पर कोचिंग करनी पड़ेगी. सो यू हैव टू बी कोचिंग, बिकॉज दैट कोचिंग एंड प्लेइंग बोथ विल बी योर लाइवलीहुड. सो से ऑन वीक डेज क्रिकेट डजेंट रियली हैपन, देर आर नो गेम्स कि वीक डेज पे गेम्स नहीं होता. यू हैव टू be associated with an academy, and you have to kind of coach and all, and then on weekends you will have games. So that's kind of the summary of what I do. And because मैं इतना involved था coaching में, I kind of enrolled into the ICC level 1 course which was being held during the World Cup, and I also did a ICC level 1 coach tutor. So a level 1 coach tutor is someone who can, in future, the USA Cricket Board can ask me कि give a talk or train a level 1 coach or take the test of a level 1 coach. So that is something that I think there are hardly 100 people around the world who are level 1 coach tutors.
Okay.
That's the info that I read last.
Okay.
So that is something that I was lucky enough to get the opportunity for, because it makes me someone special in the coaching environment in the US. But yes, as an aspiring cricketer, coaching is a very, very key element of, you can say, some senior cricketer really put it in a very nice way to me. He said that coaching तेरा 9 to 5 job है और cricket तेरा passion है.
Okay, wow.
So treat coaching something like your 9 to 5 job, which is going to make you run your home until you make it big in cricket.
Right.
Cricket, the income that you get from cricket is not something it's going to be up and down. When the season comes, it's going to be up. When there's no off season, it's going to be down. But तेरा coaching 9 to 5 job है.
So how deep are you in the waters of coaching in US?
I think I've been associated with an academy called Crown Cricket Academy for the last 2 years. So again,
It's based out of Dallas?
Yes, it is based out of Dallas, and the owner is really nice, like a really nice guy. And because I've played some cricket in India, I was also they kind of appointed me the U13 Dallas hub selector.
Okay.
So that was a privilege to be there. And yeah, so I have been on and like regularly involved in cricket. Though even though beginning of मेरे को coaching, I was like coaching my मतलब I think anybody who plays cricket for a life, उनको कोचिंग दी जाएगी तो उनको यही लगेगा शुरू में कि यार मैंने ये तो साइन अप नहीं किया था. But I think once you understand that this is important, you kind of get invested into it. And I've realized that as I've been coaching, it's good to give it back, and when you see results you feel happy that maybe you आप किसी की लाइफ में contribute कर पाए, even though it doesn't matter if that person becomes a big player or not, but at least you were able to contribute that. So that side of coaching is something I like.
Fantastic. Now, just one interesting question I had, one last question that I was very keen to ask you was that do you feel that cricket's content and coverage in that part of the world where you ply your trade as an active cricketer is right up there as what we see here in India, where every little aspect of a cricketer's life is decoded, covered, whether the person likes it or not, in terms of media representation, in terms of the number of YouTube episodes, the podcasts, and the articles, and the critical pieces, the op-ed pieces, and tributes and salutations. Do you feel that more marketing and more coverage for US-based cricketers can help the game, or do you feel enough is already being done?
No, I don't think enough is being already done. I mean, there are a lot of stories out there. I mean, it's not easy. If you see USA cricket right now, I think majorly all the players have left their home countries and come to US, right? तो उन सब के पास एक अपनी जर्नी, अपनी स्टोरीज हैं वेयर दे हैव लेफ्ट देयर होम्स एंड सेटल्ड इन अ न्यू प्लेस. आई एम स्टिल मैं एक यंग आया हूँ, एक सिंगल बंदा हूँ, बट आई हैव सीन प्लेयर्स who have moved with their families and their kids, which is a big thing.
It's a big plunge to take.
Yeah, and I mean, their struggle is different, their journey is different, and USA has given them an opportunity to kind of keep playing cricket, and it is a very big. USA cricket will become big, but definitely it needs more media coverage. Right now you only see media coverage in, say, the major league, but there is no such media coverage on a daily basis, or you can say on a monthly basis, of what's happening around in club cricket or what's happening around in some tournaments. So there is no such coverage of that like in India. Like in India, if I go and hit 100 today in a tournament, it will come out in the newspaper after 2 days, right? But in USA, I don't think local cricket is covered that way. In USA, only the big tournaments where the big money is covered.
So a lot still has to be done.
Definitely.
Okay, all right. So, well, we know America to be the land of the brave and home to the free, if that's right. But with cricketers like Shashwat Kohli around, it is definitely land of brooding all-rounders and home to the ever-talented. It was a pleasure to talk to you, Shashwat, and thanks for sharing those key insights about cricket here in India, cricket here in US. And I'm sure that with your magnificent all-round talent, you will just bridge the gap between the two continents.
Thank you so much,
Pleasure.
David. It was
Thanks.
a pleasure.
Thanks.